doing it this weekend, but the periodization stuff was really important. I'm not going to get too much into that with the strength planning, but it is part of it. You know, depending if you're in routines, if you're really trying to build strength, you're just kind of maintaining, doing a lot of routines is more of the maintenance kind of strength. If you're in the summer and you're not doing routines, that's your best strength building time. So periodization is using specific phases, rotation of daily workout intensity, defined as planned manipulation of training variables, load, sets, repetition in order to maximize training adaptations and prevent onset of overtraining. The off season, we don't really have an off season, but when we're not doing competition is your best opportunity for making them stronger. So we'll talk a little bit about like off season strength. In general, doing more routines, they should do lighter strength, vice versa. Can't afford for athletes to be doing skills when they're not physically prepared. So building that bridge going from general aerobic to explosive anaerobic work, communicating with the athletes so that they don't break down. Hey Lee. Hey. So I'll be honest, I stole this from Dave Tilley, but it's kind of a good like starting point for a yearly plan. There are off-season, pre-season, in-season A, like beginning, and then the end of season where you're going to be at the end of championship kind of season. Breaking it down into 4 parts. Off-season, June through August, that's your heavy strength time, max strength building time. Pre-season, when we're starting to do kind of half routines, that kind of stuff. I would suggest 50% general strength, 50% gymnastics specific. And then beginning competition season, you kind of back down on the strength, that's more gymnastics specific, 75%, 25% general. And then towards the end of the season, you're doing lots of routines. That's kind of just circuits and maintenance kind of strength. An example for the week, we all have different groups of athletes. If they're coming 4 days a week, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, this is kind of a suggestion of how you can break down their strengths so that you're planning for those light days. I've talked to a lot of coaches that have done this a long time, and they just kind of do what they've always done, and it gets a little stagnant. I think that we have to plan for those light days. The body that's not how it works. You can't go hard all day, every day. It's not how physiology works. So these are just kind of suggestions on training blocks. This is something that I do with like my guys that come 5 days a week. Monday is kind of a general getting started kind of conditioning, working just everything. Tuesday would be our heavier day. So this like my 5 day a week guys are like level 6 kind of group. So with Tuesdays a little bit more like ring specific, presses, planges, ring handstands. Wednesday's a lighter day, so we do a little more like pre-hab kind of stuff, wrist, shoulder things. So we're still doing exercises, but I'm not pushing them like super hard so they're sore. Thursday, again, we kind of like Monday, a little more general, and then Friday we go like really hard. So just breaking it down by the week kind of helps you with the planning how you want to get, how you want their routines to look or whatever time of year you're in. So yeah, the planning stuff is not fun, but write out exercises you want for the week. That's my suggestion. I have like a spreadsheet of a million different things, and I try to really balance that out. So for me, I have like A week and B week and ring days and high bar days, and it's not fun, it's boring, but kind of necessary stuff. Write out things that you want for wrists, for shoulders. So like for my athletes, when we're doing ring days, they have shoulder specific things in their pre-strength and in their strength program. We can't do any events in our sport without a good shoulder. So I really suggest looking into that. Break it up into light exercises for pre-strength, harder at the end. That's my opinion. There's some talk of doing harder stuff at the beginning. I've tried that. I don't get anything done during practice if they're already dead at the beginning of practice. So I like the lighter, just maintenance kind of stuff at the beginning, getting them moving, presses, that kind of stuff, shoulder prehab, lungy stuff. Pre-strength does not need to change very often. I usually keep it at least 4 weeks. It kind of depends on where we are in time of year, but and I can share any of my pre-strength stuff, but it's usually about like 8 or 10 things. It takes about 20 minutes. It's not hard stuff. It's just really just to get them moving, get their body prepared to get on the events. At the end, I think that optional gyms should be doing about 30 minutes of conditioning. Obviously, depending on time of year. Summer, we go a little more, like 40, 45 minutes. In the season, we're maybe 20 minutes, but getting some kind of strength in at the end every single day. All right, going back to the 5-day-a-week groups. This is what I do. If it's a pommel horse day, we're doing like wrist kind of pre-hab weighted stuff, and I'll share all of that. Tuesdays are our ring day in general. I kind of flip-flop now actually with A and B weeks, but if they're doing rings that day, we're doing a lot of shoulder prehab stuff. I think that's probably what I'll talk about the most in this lecture is shoulder prehab. Wednesdays light, we're doing trampoline, TheraBand, that kind of stuff. Thursday being a ring day again, so we might do lower body on Tuesday, like leg strength. Thursday we might do more core. I just try to balance it out because there's 600 muscles, over 600 muscles in the body. We got to try to hit all of them, and then at the if our pre-strength is general and wrist stuff, then we may do general stuff at the end of practice on Monday specifically. Tuesday being rings, we might do ring strength at the end after they've done all their ring swinging work. I like to keep Wednesday a light day. Thursday, Thursday seems to be the hardest day of the week for everyone, coaches, athletes, everybody. I'm so tired on Thursdays. That's just kind of a general day for us also on strength. And then Friday we go really hard. Man, that is true. I always feel like when I come up with the best plans, it's like doesn't work. But like, always adjusting it. That's me on that bike right there, and I got it. All right, weekly maintenance must-haves. We need our wrists and shoulders on all 6 events, but for sure your shoulders. I think we should do upper back exercises. I think that's a highly neglected area in men's gymnastics. Whoa. Hey. And I'm going to share some of my favorite ones with that. Hip lifts, big fan of, because we're working the glutes, we're working your lower back, all that kind of stuff. Rear supports, obviously we need that for pommel horse. Handstands on every event. So like for me and on our this time of year when we're kind of getting into more sequences and stuff, my Monday like general strength, I've got like a 30-second handstand on rings, 30-second on P-bars, 30-second on the floor. Like it's just 30-second on single bar against the wall, 30-second undergrip. It's just part of our strength. So it's not necessarily going to make them sore, but we're reinforcing those good positions. They're working on what they need. Variations of core. There's like, I don't even remember exactly how many muscles in the core. It kind of varies depending where you look, but we don't just want to work the hollow hold and arch hold. We need to be doing variations of the core because there's like 50 something muscles in the core. Different variations of arms and legs, plyos. Again, I think a lot of coaches get stuck in like, this is what I did, this is what I've always done, but there's so many things out there now, and it's more fun for the guys when you get a little bit more creative. I put this in our actual stretch, so it's just part of our daily warm-up to get their wrists kind of ready for pommel horse or whatever. Consistency is over intensity. We do about 8 or 10 depending on the level of the guy, sometimes 12 for like the level 10s, but these are just things that we just do all the time. It's super easy, it takes about 5 minutes. My favorite one now is actually the easiest one. I have a bag of rubber bands in my locker at the gym, and the guys grab one and they just, they're sitting there talking, but they're doing this. I think that external stuff, we neglect it, and I don't personally allow wrist guards in my program. Obviously I'm new to Cyprus, so there's maybe a couple guys that are wearing them, but in general, I've never really needed them. We do a lot of wrist stuff. I say a lot, it's 8 or 10 or something, but we do it every day. So I've had a lot of success with this, and Michael Reed just posted a video like this week And it does a lot of the same stuff, and he doesn't wear wrist guards, and he's phenomenal on a horse. So the fingertip push-ups, wrist push-ups, elbow push-ups, their hands flat, they're up on the side of their hand, doing the karate chops. We do 8 of those every single day, like in the warm-up. It literally takes like 2.5 minutes. It doesn't take any time. So, but for me, that 2.5 minutes or whatever it takes is an investment into the longevity, and we're able to get a whole lot more done on pommel horse. So, our athletes train pommel horse every single day. It's just, we always have. And again, we don't wear wrist braces. It's these little things, just real quick in the stretch, throw it in your warm-up.
You do 8 to 10 in each of those?
Yeah. So I just like the number 8. I don't know why. So it's generally 8. 8 finger to, and I'll have somebody lead the warm-up.
What's the foam block one that you have?
Like just like compressing with one block. Yeah. That's not something I do every day. It's kind of an as needed thing, but like the rubber band, I love. Either the bungee or with a weight or whatever you have in your gym. I had somebody ask me about like the sand. I think my owner would kill me if I brought a bucket of sand into the gym, but I think it's, rice works. I haven't really ever needed that one unless somebody's like rehabbing, but the other stuff, I mean, we throw it in our just our stretch, and it takes no time, and it's giving us really, really good results. Consistency over intensity. All right, these are my absolute favorite things in the world. Again, we throw this in our stretch, so I call these the ISTs, Ys and Ms. Keeping their chin on the floor, thumbs going up. They do 8 of everything. Y position, T position. Again, thumbs are going straight up, keeping the chin down. Eyes, one hand straight out in front, one hand behind you. So back hand can be down, but the front thumb going up, still chin down, both sides. And then the M's is like a reverse push-up. So we're trying to have their hands lower than their pecs, and then pushing the elbows together. That is actually really hard for a lot of older guys, but if you do it consistently, it does get better, and you get that range of motion. That's, I mean, how long is that video? Like maybe 30 seconds, yeah.
Is that bear?
Huh?
Is that bear?
No, it's Ike.
Oh.
Those are some of my favorite things. I've been, when I lead groups at like national team camp, I have those guys do these exercises before they do rings. It's super, super helpful. But if you do it in a warm-up, you don't have to worry about it on the events. Angels. This guy has 0 shoulder flexibility, so I put him on the floor. These can be done on the wall if they're pretty flexible. If they're like hyper flexible, you may want to even put them on their stomach. So we're getting that full range of motion, trying to keep the hands off of the floor, but he has 0 flexibility, so we're trying to keep the lower back down, elbow, wrist, everything flat, just to straighten out that line and increase that flexibility. That's something I'll do like on our, like on our Wednesday pre-strength or something. I'll just have them do 10 angles, do it against the wall or wherever they can. Just the wall example. Again, trying to keep that lower back flat. So if they're really inflexible, may scoot their feet forward more so we're keeping the back flat, the elbow, wrist, everything flat. Takes no time. That helps straighten out those handstand lines. This guy's pretty flexible, so there's the opposite example. How's Ike doing? Awesome. I think I have a video later, but the U presses, yeah, I've got a video of that.
And we do this stuff every day, so.
These are the stomach angels, going over an 8-incher or a roller, whatever you have available, but trying to keep the chin down, trying to touch their pinkies. I usually actually want them to touch their hands behind their back also, pinkies touch behind their back and then over the roller, but a lot of guys struggle with this one, with keeping their chin down and getting those arms all the way open. It's really good just for mobility, range of motion. This is the sideline external rotation. Every day that we do rings, I do some kind of shoulder pre-hab, so, this video is fast. But that's the side, so keeping the elbow tucked in, 90-degree arm bend, working the rotator cuff with a weight. These are exactly what we did on the floor with no weights in our warm-up, but now I'm adding some weight. These are things that we do on ring days, the ICs, Ys. And I don't call them M's, but this is the U press. So I've got different variations of this, and we do some kind of variation of this pretty much every day. So that's again the 90-degree arm bend and lift, trying to keep the elbow same height as the shoulder. So we do these with bands, we do these with weights, we do with dumbbells, doing laying or hands and knees. I do some kind of variation of this like every single day. And then this is the standing full can. Thumbs pointed up, about 45 degrees out, just working those little muscles on the shoulder. So yeah, when we do ring days, we do ring days, we do those before we go to rings every single time. It doesn't take much time. So just like we did with the weight, but now we're using both arms at the same time. This is the TheraBand U press. Trying to keep the elbows the same height as the shoulders. He drops a little bit. I think I just fixed it. So let's scoot forward a little bit because it was too hard. But try and pull straight back, 90-degree arm bend, straight up, and then all the way back and pushing back behind your head. That one is so good. Another one arm. Just different shoulder warm-up things. Lunges, amazing. Weight stuff, really good. Again, like we're putting so much force on these guys, asking them to bail from a handstand, and then we're like telling them that they shouldn't use an 8-pound weight to do something. It doesn't make sense. So the rotator cuff, all those muscles are pretty small, but like we need to strengthen lats. We need to do all of those things. They're big muscle groups. So strength is the foundation of power and endurance. And then successful gymnastics requires the ability to produce, transfer, and build. Buffer high forces. So yeah, we're putting a lot of force on these guys. That picture's me. Weak muscles can't stabilize. So I really believe that we neglect the upper back in our sport. We do a lot of front heavy things, flanges, pommel horse, like a lot of that. I won't say this too loud because I don't know where Tom is, but I just joined the program at Cypress 3 months ago. Those guys were super weak in their upper back, and we had a ton of shoulder problems in the program. Instantly implemented all these like shoulder things that I do. I was probably there about 6 weeks, and I was watching one of the level 10s, and I was like, dude, Josh, like your Yamawaki stuff looks awesome on rings. He's like, it's the first time my shoulders don't hurt. I was like, yes! Don't stop. Yeah, those upper back things, the banded presses, the U presses, just the ICs, Ys and Ms laying on the floor, game changer. I swear by it. I've actually had more national champions on rings than any other event. I really credit it to just keeping the shoulders healthy. You can't train good rings if your shoulders hurt. So.
Sam, do you do these exercises during your ring workout or before, during the warm-up?
Generally before, yeah. So, generally before.
So just on ring days, or do you do them as a part of your daily warm-up?
Depends on the exercise, like the weighted stuff, like laying on the block, like these things, I have them do specifically on ring days.
Gotcha.
All the other stuff, like laying on the floors, is part of our general warm-up, so we do it every day.
Understood.
And I put some variation of the U press every single day, because I really think that we just do so much other pushing stuff that we have to have balance in the upper back just to keep the shoulders healthy, and so we don't have that gymnast posture where you're walking around all super hollow. Camera deer, left camera. So yeah, I do some kind of upper back thing. It may even be rows. I put that in our strength probably twice a week, where they're like the single or feet elevated horizontal row, FEHR, where they're putting their feet up on a block and just using a single bar and pulling that way. I do some kind of that strength, that upper back strength every single day. I think it's really, really important. I think it's something we've historically neglected in men's gymnastics. To that point, we do a lot of push-ups and stuff. So a lot of gymnasts can do 50 perfect push-ups on the floor and then can't do 20 of those rows. Like it's just too much. So there's two different kinds. Well, probably more of that. But for gymnastics specifically, we do a lot of like underbar on the P-bars, underbar pull-ups. great exercise, but that's going to be a lot more like lat specific. So if you put them on a single bar, you're going to get a whole lot more of upper back, upper shoulders. So do both. They're both good. But it depends what you're trying to work. If you really want the lat, or if you really want the upper back. Yeah, muscles in the upper back all really help put the shoulder blade in the ideal shape. So you have to be doing all those different kinds of things. Feet elevated, horizontal rows, U presses, renegade rows. I suggest that those go in every single day, or a few times a week. Have some kind of variation in all of those. Yeah, I skipped over my second question, but the upper back is weak. We're gonna struggle on skills like takaches and pelts and those kind of things. Not just rings, but it goes to everywhere. This is Nick Ruddock, Daily Dozen. I literally just stole it from him, but it's kind of a good starting place for strength planning. Is just making sure that you're hitting some kind of variation of those. A lot of exercises that I think should be done every day, like rope climbs. We do them every day, but you also want to have, if you're doing a lot of pulling, make sure that you're having some pushing, handstand push-ups, that kind of work. Just having that balance so you're not overworking one thing. But I'm not saying don't do something every day, because some of it we need, a lot of it we need leg lifts and stuff. But it's my comment is just having balance. There's that feet elevated horizontal row. He's here as a coach now. It's crazy. I'd like actually his hands to be a little bit wider and his back a little bit straighter, but get the idea. There's the overhand U press again. Again, I just think it's so important. It doesn't take a lot of time. It actually is much harder than it looks. But I want a 90-degree arm bend, going back up and then all the way up and pressing back. And then there's the renegade rows. So I put something like that every single day in our program, in our strength, pre-strength and strength at the end. We do something like that. Shoot throughs on pommel wars, I think, are a great exercise for male gymnasts. Get the compression, get the planche position. I started now having them go to an arch in the front and then compress through, shoot to a planche. So we're kind of working like pommel horse dismount. I'm a nerd. I don't know. I have a reason for it. Back levers on rings, front levers. For little guys, I highly suggest they're all doing back levers on rings because it's in the routine, but force them to have their palms down when they do that so that you're working towards that multi-strength someday, and we're not just, this doesn't lead anywhere. We're never going to need it. So force them to have their palms down. Eccentrics, I'm going to talk about a little bit, and then just circuits and stuff, but eccentrics have actually been proven to increase range of motion over time. So this guy was definitely a ring guy, ended up being a ring and pommel guy. He's very talented, but his hands are not as close as I would like, but that slow, lower down, these are kind of like the slow motion things. Those are the eccentrics. Yeah, you can definitely increase range of motion over time. I have some circuits that I'll share too on this. I think I've got on a later slide one of my circuits that I do for pommel horse, but I'll just go ahead and talk about it. Do like a circuit of 3 different exercises. Do 10 circles, do 10 of these slide outs, and then 10 hip lifts, whether it's like in a tabletop position or whatever, lifting their hips, and then do 3 rounds of it. By that 3rd round, you can really generally see their circles start to open up a little bit more, which is awesome. All right, before puberty, kids are able to get stronger, even though not likely to develop visible large muscles. During puberty, body size increases. You get that burst of testosterone. I think we have to be very careful during that stage of overuse because their body is changing so fast and they're growing so much. These are some upper body exercises that I would highly suggest in your strength program. I think we probably all do them already. Rope climbs I love. I think it's like the best upper body exercise out there. We do 2 every day in the pre-strength, and I generally do 2 in the afternoon. Sometimes they're in a row, sometimes they have to go, like, again, I like to change things up, so they go like up, down, that kind of stuff. Changing it up, 2 in a row, 1 in a straddle L, 1 in an L, whatever. Handstand push-ups, regular push-ups, and then the rows are definitely a big one. We're working that upper back. Lower body stuff. Little guys, I don't use weight, so I have them. This is just a single leg hip lift, 90-degree bend on the leg that's on the floor. Older guys, I'll generally put a weight on their hip. This is so good for their lower back, for their glutes, their hamstring. Just an excellent exercise if you guys have athletes who are kind of, my back's bothering me or whatever. Squats, we all do variations of those with weights, whatever, lunges, single leg squats. Heel and toe raisers, I have them do all different directions. Feet together, toes together, heels apart, heels together, toes apart. Doing the opposite, the toe lifts. This is something we do like once a week. Do like 40 or 50 depending on the level. Doesn't take a lot of time, but keeping those ankles strong. Talked about this already, but that's Lee right there, that picture. Yeah, skills are at least 10 times, sometimes a whole lot more of their body weight forces, like a double back on floor, or double back off the high bar or brains. Like we're putting a ton of force on these guys, and we do a lot of them. And so I believe that we should be doing some kind of weights. It doesn't have to be heavy weights, but like that hip lift, I might throw an 8-pound on a 10-year-old and have them do that to strengthen up that lower back, because that 10-year-old's probably doing double full on the floor, working double backs, those kind of things. So, I definitely would start slow. Don't just throw a 20-pound on them after doing no weights, but you can build that stuff up. I think they could be doing some weights. General loading. There's so many different exercises out there. These are just a few of them. Again, the renegade row, I'm a big fan of. I do dumbbell press stuff with optionals. I just always have. So either a weight bench or lay them on a pommel horse. So that first video that's playing, he's gonna do like 10 press, 5 on each arm, and then 10 again. And they like it because they can feel like every week they're getting stronger up in the weight. Might have a spotter there when they start using bigger weight, but renegade row, trying to keep the hips square with your floor, not twisting, so that's why I have his feet apart. I'm just pulling straight up and just working that upper back. And then, this is probably my 3rd video, the prone view stuff. I'm adamant on it. I think it's necessary. And forgotten a lot of times. Lift again. So now he's got weight, goblet squat, but I change this one up too, where sometimes it'll be 1.5 goblet squat, where they go down part of the way up, down all the way up, and that would be one that's the 1.5 goblet squat. Changing those up sometimes. Everybody knows lunges. And we got weight. Single leg Romanian deadlift, awesome for stability, for the lower back, for the hamstrings. So I'm trying to keep, what I tell my athletes is to try to like lever, so they're like hinging around their hip and just letting that weight fall, so they're not like pulling the weight, it's just literally just like let it fall, and you want to feel like the hinge around your hip. That post leg, bottom leg can have a slight bend. I'm totally fine with that. They won't like probably feel a whole lot with this, but it's really, really good for the lower back, hamstring, glutes, all that. This is more just for the hips and stuff. I'll be honest, I don't use this actually a whole lot, but it's a good one. It's not something I do in my daily. With all the strength and the weighted stuff, there's always questions of, are they going to lose flexibility? Yeah, maybe a little bit, but that eccentric stuff, that will certainly help. Yeah, these centers of research support the increased range of motion. We have to build the strength, and then we got to stretch effort. Yeah, we are going to lose a little bit. For me, I don't want my level 10s to be like hyper flexible. It's not that. not helpful for power output. So I'm okay losing a little bit of flexibility. I do make them stretch really hard. Like when we're doing a lot of shoulder stuff, a lot of range strength, we're definitely doing a lot of rolling and lat stretches and those kind of things. We have to keep them healthy, but also got to build strength. For core, for me, there's two different types, like the creating movement and resisting movements, the holds versus like the quick power. We need them both. Leg lifts, arch ups. So this is one that I really, really like around the world, where they're trying to keep their toes by the floor, have their hands out to the side so to keep their back flat. But we're working the obliques, the whole core, because we don't want to only do hollow holds and arch holds. We want to work the whole thing. So we can do the windshield wipers on the high bar and stuff, but this one's a really good one on the floor. So I call that one around the world. I also do what I call circle of life, where they do the exact same thing with the upper body, trying to rotate as far as they can, kind of like in a crunch position, bent legs. That one's awesome. So we're working the full core. Oh, there it is. That's circle of life. We're working all of the obliques. Okay, yeah, tapping drills. So that going from that quick. So not just working the holds, but power work. Use new strength to increase power through specific drills, isolation, plyos. Oh, I guess I didn't have videos on those. All right, cardio. I do a lot of different kinds of circuits. I'll share a few of those, but only doing sprints or like just running around the floor. That's not going to really increase your cardio capacity for like building routines and stuff. So the entire body's working very hard to perform skills and routines. Fatigue's being produced. So we need to figure out ways to clear that fatigue. We do need running and sprinting, but it's just not the only thing that we need to do for building cardio. So here's some of the circuits that I like to use. Just a couple of examples. Do like 5 rounds of 30 seconds each. We can do this as a team. Jumping lunges via push-ups. That's like via and actually pushing off the floor with your hands down by your hips. So we're working like hip kind of strength, manner type strength. Burpees, awesome. And then they get a 30-second rest, and then they go to the next round. Could be 45 seconds on, 15-second rest. I really like to do that one because if I only know I have 18 minutes left of practice, I'm like, all right, you guys have 3 rounds. We're gonna just pick 10 things. We're doing burpees, we're doing squats, we're doing whatever, jumping jacks. Might be a hollow hold, handstand hold. But I like circuits because we're building that kind of routine endurance too, and getting stronger. And it's a team building thing for me too. I like to put them like all together to do strength. So if one guy's slacking, they all get on each other, and then I don't have to do it. So it's good. The ascending ladder is another good one, where you're starting with like one exercise, like it could be jumping lunges, handstand push-ups, and squat jumps. They do one, and then they go 2 of each thing, and then they go 3 of each thing. That's for time, going up to 3 minutes or however long you want to use. But those are really good ones. And they're dead by the end of that, and it's a 16-minute workout total, and they're done. So again, if you only have like so much time, it can be a good cardio circuit to try. These are more like power circuits that I use. We're not going as fast. I do want them done at a good pace. So this is more about the quality. I love this one. The uppers, lowers together. So that's just laying on their back. Upper body only, lower body only, both at the same time. So again, working multiple parts of the core versus just doing a hollow hold. Press handstand. So we're gonna do 8 of those, 5 of those, and then go through that 4 times. It is tough. These are all just different examples. 1.5 push-ups, like I talked about on the goblet squat, going like down all the way, up part of the way, down again, and then all the way up. So we're going same kind of thing on a push-up. You can do it squats, push-ups, and do that. The 1.5 is a fun change on a lot of those strength positions. Pike and straddle compressions. That's just the sitting one where you're lifting the legs, hands past your knees. It's a really good one. good exercises to add into your circuits, and you can keep them moving. I think all those are pretty self-explanatory. Sets, reps, loads, they really vary based on the athlete and the level and what you're trying to accomplish. If you're trying to kill them and really build like strength, depending on time of year, could be 3 or 4 sets of 8 to 12. I like those numbers. I don't know, I used to do 10 of everything, and the athletes would always cheat, so when I started making it 8 or 12, I get better results. I don't know why. Kids are stupid. Yeah, I mean, vary it on what you're trying to accomplish, but you can get a lot done in 3 or 4 sets sometimes versus trying to do, 100 dips. I used to work with a coach that would write up strength for the little guys, and it would say like 1,000 dips or whatever, like crazy numbers. And I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, well, if they do part of it, it's better than nothing. It's like, I don't agree with that, but I'd rather give them 3 sets of 8, and they most of the time do it. Gymnastic strength varies by exercise. Again, it's just something you guys have to kind of play with. There is no perfect strength plan. I wish there was, because man, that would be so easy. The planning is so hard. That's the hardest part of our job. But 3 to 5 sets is usually a good kind of base. Power work, reps reduced with higher intensity, so really, yeah, again, depends on the exercise. More working sets with rest in between. 3 to 6 sets of 5 to 8 is general. We're not doing 15 of those. It's more more specific, but and so less reps or less numbers. And just watch for power output or quality of movement declining. Adjust your plan out accordingly. Off-season strength is our summertime. It's our best time for like actually building strength. 1 or 2 days of lifting weights. That's what I suggest with optional guys. Starting with lower weights and gradually, increasing that. Don't just jump to the 30 pounds if they've never done any kind of weight training. Start slow. 1 or 2 days of gymnastic strength. Pre-hab day. For me, it's Wednesday, just a light day. 2 or 3 cardio circuits. We do running drills in the summer on Tuesdays and Fridays, and then just absolutely kill their legs. But they get the weekend to recover. We don't do any weekends in the summer. There's so much information out there, so if you can find a strength and conditioning coach or any kind of cross training, learn as much as you can. I'm always looking for more info, so if anybody's got ideas for me too, I'm open. And then screening for your athletes, like actually checking in on some of their stuff. We do weekly testing or every other week in the summer, testing like the ring strength positions and stuff for the level 10 specifically. I track it. I've got a spreadsheet or it's on my phone or whatever. Just really see if they're getting better. And then just mix it up. Get creative. We get stuck, I think, in just doing the same thing over and over again. And this is what my coach did, and this is what I've always done. And there's so many other things that we can do now. And just changing up different variations every day keeps the guys more motivated. There's a lot of ways to get stronger. On the shoulder, for example, we've got bands, dumbbells, ropes, so like 4 videos of the U presses. There's all different ways to do it. It's really the same exercise, but change it up. It helps the guys. We need large shoulder muscles, but we gotta keep the flexibility. So both play a role. The eccentric stuff is really good. I think it's my pre-hab presentation, but I've got some eccentric stuff for upper body where their hands are touching, like hands close, and just doing a slow lower down. So not even, I let them jump for the chin up, and then it's that slow lower down with their hands close, the 8 or 10 seconds down, really stretches the lat. I underline that line. Just because they can doesn't mean they should. I think we've all seen athletes at competitions doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing. Videos on Instagram, like these little guys doing crosses. I don't train crosses with my guys until they're really like past puberty. They may be able to get to it, but it's not safe, in my opinion, for a young guy that's just not fully developed to be training the skills. So go slow. You can use Asher Hogg as a perfect example. The guy's a freaking monster, but he really didn't start winning rings until he was a senior. I I know that because I had guys beat him all the time. He was doing a lot of stuff young, but he wasn't competing yet. So just take your time. It's a long game with these guys. We want to get them to college, or at least that's always my goal, is to get them. I want their best gymnastics to be after they leave me. I want them to be healthy. So I really take pride in not having injuries in my program. I'm willing to take the 20 minutes every day in our pre-strength to do pre-hab and the longevity game. I want them healthy. Shift, he doesn't post a whole lot anymore, but he's got a lot of stuff still online. If you haven't looked at Dave Tilley's stuff, he was a college gymnast. He's got a lot of free resources. There's a lot of really good stuff out there. So that's a really good resource if you haven't looked into that. Dave Tilley's awesome. And that's it. That's all I have. Dang, I was pretty good on time. Any questions?
Any copy of the presentation?
Yeah, if you can email me, I'll just forward it or send a link or whatever. It's kind of a big file, but
Yeah, for a little Google Drive.
it's easy.
And if any Google Drive, you can share the drive.
Yep. Yep, I can do that. Yep. Nothing? Alright, thanks guys.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Hey. Yeah. Alright,
While we're living,
Yeah.
pressing that.
Yeah. Except for David Gordon, that dude has the tightest hips I've ever seen. Holy crap.
I'll give you my email address or whatever you need to do.
Oh yeah, if you can send me an email.
I'll just send you an email.
Yeah, I can respond to it that way.
Darren's